So the number one thing you hear from dermatologists is always wear sunscreen. Sunscreen is the most important thing we can do to prevent from skin damage, premature aging, and skin cancer. Now in today's video, I'm not going to really talk about why it's important to wear sunscreen. Rather, I want to focus on how to reapply sunscreen, why it's important to reapply sunscreen. For many individuals who wear makeup, reapplying sunscreen can be really tricky. So I'm going to offer some tips and show you guys my favorite products and ways to reapply sunscreen. Hi, my name is Dr. Jenny Liu. I'm a board-certified dermatologist and welcome to my YouTube channel. On this channel here, I love to talk about all things skin and skincare related. So let's talk about why it's important to layer sunscreen. First of all, most of us don't apply enough sunscreen to get that SPF coverage that's labeled on the sunscreen bottle. So when you are reapplying sunscreen or layering sunscreen on top of each other, you're getting more even coverage and a guarantee that you're getting that proper SPF protection. 2, sunscreen has to form this film for it to work properly on your skin. That film will kind of break down over time with oil or sebum production on your skin. Also, that film can evaporate just due to water loss through your skin. And it does become thinner and therefore less effective. Even if you're not touching or rubbing your skin, or if it's not coming off with swimming or sweating, which are other 2 really important reasons why you need to reapply, is that if the sunscreen is being rubbed off of your skin, you're sweating it off, then it's not staying on your skin. And when it's not on your skin, it is not working. So reapplying is really important to make sure that your sunscreen is on your skin and it's working effectively. And that is really how you can minimize the damage on your skin throughout the day, especially if you are outdoors. One of the most common comments I get from my patients is, I wore sunscreen, but I still tan, I still burn. Well, it's probably because you either did not apply enough and reapply frequently enough, or both. So sunscreen reapplication is super important, especially if you're battling hyperpigmentation, because we know ultraviolet radiation is such a huge risk in driving that hyperpigmentation, like conditions such as melasma, which already is super challenging to treat. Now, how often should you be reapplying is really kind of depends on what you're doing. For example, a general rule of thumb we recommend is reapply every 2 hours if you're active outside. So being directly in the sun, especially if you're sweating, if your sunscreen is being rubbed off or you are sweating. But when you're indoors, another most commonly asked question I get is, if I'm indoors and just sitting around, how often should I be applying? And that theoretically, again, depends on, where you are. Are you next to a window? Are you running inside? Are you, doing things touching your face where potentially that sunscreen is gonna come off more readily? If that is the case, then I think that every 2-hour rule of thumb is appropriate. But if you're just sitting around watching TV away from a window and it's not midday, it's getting late in the evening, you could arguably say reapply every 3 hours. So of course it varies, but a general rule of thumb is every 2 hours. Now, one of the tricky part for most of us who are not outside is, how do you apply sunscreen over makeup? Because if you're just outside swimming, chances are you're probably not wearing makeup, and it's the easiest, right? You just pick up your sunscreen that you use from the morning and you apply all over your face and body. But the challenging part is how to elegantly apply your sunscreen over makeup, which is what most of us really do on a day-to-day basis. So I'm going to share with you some of my favorite ways and share some tips that hopefully you can utilize and find it helpful. Now, before we go into how to apply sunscreen over makeup, let's actually talk about the importance of getting that good base layer, because that is really going to be key. In the morning with your skincare routine, make sure you apply a good base layer first and foremost, using whatever sunscreen that is of your favorite choice. And you may even want to consider layering on that sunscreen a couple of times to ensure adequate coverage. As I mentioned earlier, we know most people significantly underutilize the amount of sunscreen, and that is about a teaspoon for your head and neck, and most of us just don't use that much. So when you are layering sunscreen on top of each other, you're ensuring more even coverage all over your face, and hopefully will get closer to that SPF protection that it's labeled on the bottle. So that is the most important thing. And if you anticipate being outside for an extended period of time where it's hot and humid, whether you wear makeup or not, consider going with a higher SPF and a sunscreen that is water resistant. Although we know that higher SPF does not give you significant more coverage, like an SPF 50 or 100 than SPF 30, it does make up for the SPF in this sense because most of us under apply. And studies have shown that because most of us under apply, a higher SPF is slightly more effective at preventing skin damage. And if you're sweating, that water resistance can just give a little bit more leverage to your skin when it comes to sun protection. Another tip is that if you don't like layering sunscreen, then consider, if you wear a base makeup, considering choosing either a tinted moisturizer or a light foundation that has additional SPF that is just gonna help, again, provide additional coverage. Now say it's midday, you have foundation on, you need to reapply sunscreen. What are some of the ways? Well, there are lots of different ways. Number one is to consider using a makeup setting spray that has SPF. And obviously you would do this at the end of your makeup application, but again, similar to using a tinted foundation or base makeup, it's just gonna add to that further SPF protection. And you can use that makeup spray throughout the day as needed as a way to reapply sunscreen. So two makeup setting sprays I recommend is the one from Somerville. It's uncomplicated SPF 50 makeup setting spray. So not only is it gonna help to hold your makeup in place, the setting spray also contains a decent SPF number, as well as silicone in a spray powder that's gonna help to mask some of that shine. And lastly, it also contains hyaluronic acid. So it's gonna be mattifying, but still hydrating and doesn't feel too drying on the skin. So that is one way. I do not recommend using just general spray sunscreen on the face. In general, spray sunscreen is a great way to reapply sunscreen on the body. It's easy to use and it's kind of really easy to kind of grab and spray, but on the face, it can be very irritating. As you can imagine, when the spray is on your face, you can inhale those uncomfortable particles, which then can potentially cause lung irritation. Furthermore, a lot of the body sunscreens contain alcohol to allow it to dry faster, and that can be irritating on your skin. And a lot of sunscreens too that are sprayed meant to use on the body can look shiny and greasy and just cosmetically unpleasant. Now, as a side note, if you are going to be using a body spray sunscreen to reapply sunscreen on the body, you want to make sure that you are using it properly. You want to ideally avoid spraying in the windy environment because that wind is just going to carry the spray and it's not going to, chances are it's not going to land on your skin but land on elsewhere. You want to spray enough past it so that way your skin glistens, and then ideally you want to rub that in to ensure even coverage. But for the face, makeup setting spray is a good way, and it's a safer and less irritating way to apply sunscreen on the face. Another great way to apply it over makeup, especially if you have oily skin, is to consider an SPF powder. There are quite a few of them on the market now, and Colorescience is by far my favorite. They're one of the few brands that actually have seen clinical studies on their powder sunscreen. Their powder sunscreens come in various shades. It's tinted, which is great because it helps to provide some visible light coverage as well. But the powder sunscreen actually don't expire, and they've also done testing, and it stays water resistant up to 80 minutes. Now, one of the things with powder sunscreen is that we have limited studies on kind of the amount that you need to apply to get that SPF protection, because obviously you guys know when it comes to sunscreen, the amount is really everything, right? So Colorescience is also the only brand that I've have read and seen studies where they've actually done testing to get the time that is needed for proper SPF coverage, and that is 60 seconds. And so that is what they recommend on their website to apply on your skin. So what you want to do is obviously take off the cap of your powder sunscreen, and then you want to basically shake up the powder, tap it, and then really brush it on the back of your hands, or like flick the brush to ensure that you're actually getting the powder flowing through the brush. And then you will start seeing the powder coming through, and that is when you just want to, in circular motions, apply it all over the areas of your face. And the powder is great for oily skin because it has a mattifying effect. And also it's tinted, so it kind of gives a little bit of light coverage. Definitely do not recommend using powder as your base sunscreen, but it's a great way to reapply throughout the day, as well as to help mattify your skin, especially if you have oily skin. A more affordable option that I've tried is from Derma.E, their Sun Mineral Powder SPF, and this is a little bit more affordable. Unfortunately, it only comes in one shade, I believe, and it is SPF 30 and does not have the water resistant claim. And this one does expire. Now, if you have dry skin, you can consider using a compact that is tinted to provide some coverage in addition to helping to reinforcing the SPF protection. The one that I recommend that is in a compact that is pretty hydrating is the one from Avène. Their high protection SPF 50 compact, and it only comes in 2 shades, and both of which, even the lighter one looks slightly darker on my skin. But this is a great way. It's a hands-free way. It comes with a sponge that you can basically reapply over your face. Now, I know lots of Korean brands will have like BB or CC creams that come as a compact, and often they will have SPF, broad spectrum UVB and UVA coverage built into their BB and CC cream. So that would be another great way to reapply sunscreen. Just make sure to check the label to ensure that they actually have SPF protection. And the compact is a great hands-free, clean way to reapply sunscreen. I find this to be the most helpful for individuals that have more dry skin. Compact formulations are more hydrating, and 2, they also come, the tint tends to be a little bit more medium coverage, so it not only offers SPF coverage but also some coverage against uneven skin tone and texture. So it's almost like reapplying your makeup throughout the day. Now, if you don't wear a lot of heavy foundation or base makeup, you could consider just picking up one of your favorite tinted sunscreens and reapplying that over your concealer or your tinted moisturizer, whatever light base makeup that you put on the morning. And a great way without messing up your makeup, if you do wear like blush and bronzer, is to reapply that sunscreen gently with a sponge. And so you would just basically pump that sunscreen onto your beauty blender or sponge and just gently tap it onto your skin. That way you're not going to mess up your makeup, and that tapping pressure is not going to pull off any existing sunscreen, but still provide adequate reinforcement onto your pre-existing sunscreen layer. So an SPF stick is a really easy, quick, and simple way to reapply sunscreen in general. I love SPF sticks, sunscreen sticks, to reapply sunscreen on my hands, on my ears, on my daughter, and they do make quite a few. A couple brands have actually tinted SPF sticks that can glide really easily and makes for a clean application on your face. I find that to be the most great one for those who don't wear a lot of face makeup or blush. But if you do, you can still use it, and then you can then go over the rest of like your cheeks with a SPF like blush stick, which one of my favorites is from Colorescience. They make a couple different colors in like a light beige, a rosy pink, and then a bronzer stick. So that is another way that you can apply sunscreen over makeup. So those are some of my favorite ways of reapplying sunscreen, especially ways to reapply sunscreen over makeup. What is your favorite way? Let me know in the comment below. And once again, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can always find me on Instagram at derm.talk as well as TikTok. And I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.